What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a little showcase for you today on my newest rank 3 7-star champion, Werewolf by Night. I absolutely love Werewolf by Night. I'm so happy to have pulled him out of my Titan Crystal, my latest Titan Crystal. I have two that I'll be able to open once I finish Act 8, so be on the lookout for that live stream and the videos to follow, but I wanted to show off my newest rank 3, my Werewolf. I thought it would be a good idea to bring him up to rank 3 for the remainder of the Alliance War season, and it just made sense. I had all of the catalysts, and none of the other class catalysts ready for another character to go to rank 3 as a 7-star, so it just made sense for me to take up a Werewolf. In this first video here, I'm just showing off the rotation, his kind of ideal fight rotation, because you can use him in essentially any piece of content. I wouldn't necessarily recommend him for Everest style content, but short, medium, and then medium to semi-long content like Winter of Woe, he's perfect for that. So as you can see, we built up all of my lycanthropy recharges, we got to the curse, we threw off that first special 2, and Winter Soldier's already down to 30% health after one special 2, one full ramp up. 30% health out of 550,000 health, that's a very solid amount of health gone from one ramp up. One thing you'll know about Werewolf, or you'll notice about Werewolf, should I say, is when the opponent, or when you, should I say, are fully ramped up. So this was after our special 2. I want to show off the health pool before we throw the special 2. So right here, Winter Soldier is at 70% health before we fully ramp and throw the special 2, which then brings him down to 30. 30% health gone from just the ramping process alone is very substantial. The Ghost Rider Relic plays into this a little bit because the Vicious passive from the Relic can increase the damage over time from the Rupture, so that definitely helps. But Werewolf's Rupture damage, just at its base, is insanely strong. To take off this amount of health from 550,000 health without ramping to the special 2 and without using a special 2 is very significant. So you'll notice in a lot of Werewolf's fights, like in some of the shorter fights, Battlegrounds-esque, by the time you get fully ramped up, the damage is significant. So this isn't a Battlegrounds fight, obviously. I don't have any Battlegrounds fights with the rank 3, but once the season comes back, I'll definitely show off the rank 3 Werewolf in Battlegrounds. This is actually a rank 3 onslaught on Node 46 in Alliance War. This is War 11 against Celestial Avengers, and I'm using my rank 3 Werewolf by Night. Now, the strategy here is to use Werewolf kind of like Valkyrie. One beautiful thing about Werewolf by Night is how versatile his playstyle can be. You can use him and be fully aggressive, attack the opponent, always hit them, always intercept them, go for the medium and light intercepts, get the ruptures, build up to your special 2, or you can play very much like Valkyrie in this methodical style where you're only hitting block with your first medium, you're howling, you're being very passive, you're kind of letting the opponent trickle down from the ruptures that you're dealing them, and then look, this 500,000 health onslaught after one cycle is down to 40% health. So over 250,000 damage there in less than 60 seconds to this onslaught. That would kill most Battlegrounds opponents way before. And again, I'm playing this slow. This would be much faster if I was hitting the opponent, building up more power, and not just relying on the howl to give me the power gain. So we're finishing up here, we're building up to another special 2. This matchup is a little tricky because you do not want to hit him at all until you're throwing your special attack, so you just want to play it exactly like Valkyrie, where you're hitting block and throwing special attacks when you have them. Of course, Werewolf special attacks have to hit the opponent, Valkyries can just hit into their block, although you could technically use his special 2 into block and be fine because you will go unstoppable after it. So if you do get hit, you can just immediately retaliate into your block. So you could play him full Valkyrie style, but I don't necessarily think that's the best idea. Throwing the special 2, it's very few hits, you don't give the opponent a lot of power, and that play style is as safe as it gets when it comes to Werewolf. So I think we'll do, yeah, we'll just go in order here. It doesn't necessarily matter. I was thinking of what order I should show off these clips, but just in the order I recorded them is fine. This is Labyrinth of Legends Old Man Logan, 1.5 million health. No boosts, no synergies here, just Werewolf. and we're going to show off how he does in some longer form content. So you'll see in this matchup that I keep dashing back and tossing a light attack into the air. One thing about Werewolf that has never really been addressed, but has never been a problem, is how he has more than one way to trigger his howl. So you saw there I went for an intercept, and I triggered the howl on the intercept. I think I try and go for it again here. Yeah, so right there, I land an intercept, and I trigger the howl that way. Normally, the howl is only triggered when you dash back, you idle for 1 second, and you let him actually howl. But there's multiple ways to trigger the howl. The intercept method is one of them. If you heavy cancel into a relic, you can also trigger the howl. If you dash back with your right thumb and then toss a light attack, there's a chance you can trigger the howl that way. And then in some instances, if the spacing is correct, you can do a medium attack that isn't a medium dash, and that medium attack will trigger the howl. That one's a lot harder to pull off because it involves some tricky spacing stuff, and it's not going to be consistent in every single matchup. But the other ways to trigger the howl are very consistent. I find that the light attack intercept one and the heavy into the relic always works. Okay, the heavy into the relic always works, and then the light attack intercept and the dash back toss a light into the air, I'd say they have 80% and 90% success rate. If you don't get it on the first time, just go for another intercept or go for another heavy attack, and you'll eventually get it. The big thing is if you dash back with your left thumb, you technically do a microsecond block, and you don't always get the howl to trigger on the intercept or on the dash back, throw the light into the air. So if you dash back with your left thumb for the intercept or for the dash back and idle, toss the light, there's a much higher chance you're going to land the howl from that attack, and you'll be able to keep the flow going and not really slow down Werewolf's rotation. I think, and this is just me here, I'm not saying anything from the stance of Kabam or anything, I think leaving the howl the way it is perfectly fine, because it allows for so much more skill expression when using Werewolf, and it doesn't limit you to one outlet of getting the howl. As you can see right there, there's the heavy cancel into the relic, trigger the howl. I think it's strong. It's 100% not the original intent, but I feel he's been in the game so long, they haven't addressed it because I don't think they see it as a real problem. It's just a different way of skill expression. It doesn't break the character. It doesn't make him this unbelievably overpowered character that can trigger his power gain in any single situation every time. You have to know what you're doing. You have to do it properly, because if you don't, you're only going to be able to trigger the howl from the one way you know, which is idling. But if you learn how to do it these other ways and you're consistent with it and you actually figure out the process and you apply that skill to it, it adds layers to his rotation and it makes him a much higher skill champion to use than maybe people realize. Last clip here, just some, what is this called? No, it's not Cavalier. Oh man, my brain thinking about Cavalier EQ. This is Thronebreaker Event Quest, the Mystic Chapter, just showing off some shorter fights. This is more of a Battlegrounds-esque health pool. What you'll see in a lot of Werewolf fights, like this type of health pool, this type of speed, is what to expect from a rank 3 Werewolf by Night in a Battleground setting. Anything in the 250s for health is typically what you're going to see, sometimes a little lower, sometimes a little or a lot higher, especially if you have a Werewolf on defense, because he has the 4th highest health pool in the entire game. Technically, it's the 5th highest health pool. I believe the order is Sasquatch, Maestro, Thanos, Deathless King Groot, and then Werewolf. But if we don't count Thanos because he's exclusive, he's number 4. Maestro, I think, is fair enough to count because anyone can access him with Necropolis. So having the 4th highest health pool in the game is pretty significant. You can see with the Saga boost, he has 108,000 health in the event quest right now. So ridiculous. A lot of health to work with. Makes him very safe to use in war because you have such a cushion of safety. You can take some blocked hits, you can take some reparries, you can take some specials to the block if you don't want to dex and trigger the indestructible from Magic Thief. He's solid, all around solid. I have absolutely no regrets taking him up early. I know there's a high possibility, well, you know, as high as it gets when it's a 1 out of 6 chance. There's a possibility that I can pull a 2 to 3 Mystic Gem from the Act 8 exploration rewards, and if that were to happen, it would sting a little bit, but I'm not really complaining because I have plenty of Mystic Champions that I would love to take up to rank 3. aside from Werewolf. So now that he's already up there, that kind of takes away the stress of, oh, if do I want to take up Werewolf, or do I want to take up someone like America Chavez or somebody like My Awakened Mojo? Whatever the case may be. So if I do pull a Mystic Gem, it sucks a little bit, but it's only going to be like a microsecond of, that's a little unfortunate, because at the end of the day, I would have taken up Werewolf regardless, so whether it's with the gem or with the catalyst, it doesn't matter to me. It's just Werewolf, Werewolf. That's all I can say. Puppy, woof. He's my boy. I absolutely love him. He's my favorite Mystic of 2023, and I cannot wait to use him going forward this year and absolutely dominate some of our Winter of Woe style content with Werewolf once that comes out. We just finished up the Gauntlet, so we have a month and a bit before the next cycle. I believe it's the Spring of Suffering comes out. But boy, I'm excited to use Werewolf in that, and maybe even use Werewolf a little bit more in the current Winter of Woe. There's so much content coming out in the next couple of weeks and months, and Werewolf by Night, my rank 3, is going to dominate. I absolutely know it. Last fight here, just wanted to show off this Korg, see if I could do it. Doesn't go as smoothly as I would have liked, but, it is a possible fight for Werewolf to do. I have done it a couple of times in Battlegrounds. It is something that you can do, as long as you're not super fixated on getting the maximum ramp up for your Lycanthropy charges. It's going to take a little longer to take down Korg, because the way you have to play with your light attacks, you can accidentally trigger the Howl, and then that kind of messes up your rotation. I didn't go over the rotation in the first fight, but what I like to do is I like to Howl essentially as soon as the fight starts. I can go over that one Winter Soldier fight at the beginning again, just to show off what I mean. So I guess, I might as well just wait and show that off one more time. But like I said here, like I said earlier, you can throw Werewolf Special 2 into block and all of the effects trigger, so you can just do that if you really need to throw the Special 2 into block. You can play full-on Valk style. I don't necessarily recommend it, but if it's something you need to do, you have that option. So I can show off the initial fight one more time, just to show off the rotation, because I didn't go over it when I first watched this fight, or when you first watched this fight, should I say. So what I like to do with Werewolf is I like to immediately howl as soon as I possibly can to start the fight. So you'll see that I go for a combo here, immediately into an intercept, trigger my first howl. The way I like to play Werewolf, you only need 2 howls to max ramp. So at this point, I'm at 4 Lycanthropy charges. My goal now is to get to like 1.9, 1.8 bars of power, throw a special 1. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to pass a bar of power threshold by triggering the Howl, so that gets me to 6. Triggering the Howl gets me to 8, and then I'm right below 2 bars of power, which then gets me to 10. So 2 Howls, 1 special 1 in the rotation, and you're max ramped. And then Winter Soldier just melts here, and yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really use the Relic because I honestly forget about it sometimes, but the Relic is very helpful. The Ghost Rider Relic increases Werewolf's power gain, and it gives him a vicious passive, as you see right there, which increases the damage of every single one of his Rupture debuffs. So yeah, more damage on every single debuff is a fantastic time. So that's all I have for you in this little Werewolf by Night showcase. Thank you all so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Let me know what other kind of content you would like to see with my Werewolf by Night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.